Hello, and welcome to the Classic Land Cruisers podcast. I'm Dan, your host. You can find me on Instagram at FJ40_UMA_Smurf or on I Hate Mud at Mountain Biker. You can find the podcast on Instagram by searching Classic Land Cruisers. Remember to go to reefmonkey.com to get your Classic Land Cruiser podcast merch. Bring your adventure home with inlowgear.com, your source for custom Land Cruiser apparel and merchandise, where adventure becomes art, designed for the road. This episode was brought to you in part by Redline Land Cruisers, save your F, by Manafree, your one-stop shop for Land Cruiser parts and service, by Valley Hybrids and Terrain Tamer North America. All right. Welcome to this episode of the Classic Land Cruisers podcast. I'm on location at Higgy's Off-Road with the man himself, Scott Higgy.
How's it going?
I'm actually here to pick up Uma to take her back home to finish the work that I did on her, or finish the work that they started that I need to finish. So what were some of the problems that you came up with, or that you faced when replacing my motor that I destroyed?
Man, really put me on the spot. I think our biggest thing is we just noticed that there were some stuff that, washers missing and bolts might not have been tight as they should have been. And then it looked like the motor got hot, and that's why we lost it.
Yeah. I know that there was a radiator leak, and I was trying to stay up on the coolant level and the temperatures and everything else. So what was kind of easy about the new motor that you did for me?
It was already pre-assembled. Somebody had pulled it out. I'm already familiar with the motor. It came from someone that worked on their cruiser. And so I wasn't worried about it not running all that stuff. And it was all ready to rock and roll, drop in stuff.
Yeah. So when I showed up here today, well, actually every time I've been to your shop, I've always kind of felt like a kid in a candy store with all of the freaking cruisers that are here. Do you still feel that way when you come into work, or is it a lot like work?
No, I mean, I love what we do. To work on cruisers every day, you have to love it because they're a little bit of a different beast. But yeah, I come to work every day with a smile on my face. Get to work on vehicles I love and get to help out people I care about. And really try to make every customer here feel like a member of the team.
Oh, absolutely, and I felt that way the whole experience, from getting into getting my cruiser up here, getting the motor to you guys, and everything. I felt like it was the right decision for me to do.
Appreciate that for sure.
So you used to be a tech at a Toyota dealership. How did you come to be one of the sought-after Land Cruiser shops?
So I've always been a Land Cruiser guy since I can remember. I grew up. My dad had an '88 4Runner that he bought new, and then I bought it when I was 16, and my dad bought an 80 series. And then I have various. I bought an FJ40, and I still have that FJ40, and then I've had 60 series, and then I have a 55, and just always been a Land Cruiser fanatic. And I worked for Toyota for years, and my last dealership I was at was Camelback Toyota, and I was doing just Land Cruisers at Camelback for a while, and there was a change in management, and they decided that they didn't really want that anymore, so I decided to kind of quit and do my own thing because I didn't want to go back to doing recalls and oil change diagnostic work stuff that I had been doing previously.
Yeah.
So, I started this back in 2019, and we've just been growing, and we've been very blessed. We're very grateful for all our customers.
Yeah. So, do you do more of like what you helped me out with the engine swaps? Because I noticed you got a 60 series right here. It's getting a new heart, kind of like mine getting a new heart. Do you do like mostly like engine work or fab work or lift kits or?
Honestly, we do it all. In fact, we just finished up a rock crawler for Wes Erickson. His Black Hill build on Instagram.
And, that thing was I when he's like, now that I'm picking up my 40, what questions do you have for me? I'm like, when are you coming on the podcast?
Yeah, he's a great guy, and we're very fortunate. It was interesting. I got a phone call from Wes, and he was like, "Hey, I know you do cruisers. Will you drive over to the west side and look at FJ40 rock crawler for me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I went over there and I checked this thing out, and it was okay. And when I started that journey, I didn't realize he was gonna let us do a bunch of work on it as well. And I'm very grateful that he let us. We had a blast doing that crawler, and we work on a little bit of everything here. My biggest goal is to kind of be a one-stop shop, and so we'll do everything from motor work to interior work to paint jobs, and everything in between. There's not a lot of people doing this anymore, especially in Arizona. So we just kind of try and make sure that we're able to, take care of people.
Yeah, I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, George Esther, and he's like, I see you had to call in backup to get your motor done. I'm like, yeah, and he's like, Scotty's good people, and I think that's one of the ultimate compliments from somebody like George is for them to kind of give their stamp of approval on your shop.
Yeah, George is great. We buy a lot of stuff from George. We try and, we buy a lot from George, and then we also buy a lot from Kurt. I've known those guys for years. And that's the great thing about this industry, this cruiser specifically, is you build relationships, and you have people you trust, people you can call on. And, I've called George for questions on stuff, and he's either called me once on a question on something, and George is a plethora of knowledge, and I'm grateful for him as a friend. And I'm grateful he sends people our way.
Yeah,
it helps.
Yeah, I honestly, when my motor went bad, because I talked to owner Zeri a couple times, and he's like, you know what, we can't even get you in until August. I'm like, well, August is kind of when I need to have my truck done to go to solid axle. And he's like, well, go to Higgy, call up Higgy. I called you guys up and like, yeah, we can get you in a couple weeks. Started getting the ball rolling, and so.
Usually, too, it's harder to get in here, but when you said Solid Axle Summit, I have a soft place in my heart for Solid Axle Summit. It's, an event we sponsor every year, and I love it there. And so, we try and help out and get stuff done when we can.
Yeah. And I realized that you and your guys kind of went above and beyond and bent over backwards to get my cruiser in and done with at least the motor. Because there, like I said, there is some other stuff that I need to do, and it's stuff that I don't mind doing, replacing the radiator, fixing the e-brake. I mean, that was stuff I already had on my list to do. But yeah, your guys brought it in and slammed it out, and I was just like, oh, this is awesome. And so, and to say thank you, I gave you and the two guys that worked on my Land Cruiser a copy of the calendar, and
we appreciate that.
So the first time I came up here was actually for a Land Cruiser or Copper State Cruisers swap meet.
Yep.
And you had your 55 and it was in rough shape.
Still is sitting right there.
What's the plan for the 55?
So I actually got that 55 from a dear friend of mine, Brandon, that owns Classic Cruisers in Poncha Springs, Colorado.
Yeah.
So I would go up there for the stripper parties or go up there to help Brandon and just hang out with him. He's one of my best friends. One day Brandon called me up and he said, "Hey, I'm thinking about selling my 55." And I said, "What do you want for it? I have to have it." I actually had picked up a 55 carcass from him to kind of do the same thing. I love the patina on it. I love the rust. And it's a strong runner. And so I bought that from Brandon, and so it's actually
Let's actually go look at it. Your
actually
55.
a very special vehicle for me to own because Brandon and his guys kind of put this thing together from stuff in their yard, and so this is my 55. It's a 79, and like I said, I got it from Brandon at Classic Cruisers. It may look like it's a rust bucket, but it actually has a great drivetrain in it. It runs great. In fact, I took it out wheeling a couple months ago around here. I went up, took it to Bulldog, and it was a good time. I think I'm gonna end up taking this up to Salt Axle Summit this year.
Nice.
We're gonna do a spring over on it and some 35s, and probably that's it. I kind of want to plan on keeping the body the exact way it is, and I just enjoy it. My kids love riding in it. We love this pig, and it holds a special place in my heart. So
Yeah. So what does your wife think about the pig?
she thinks it's an ugly rust bucket.
But in its own way, it is actually a really beautiful 55.
I love it. It's got some bumps and bruises, but I think that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, when I was quote unquote restoring my 40, people were like, "Well, are you going to take all the dents and dings out of it when you paint it?" I'm like, "No, why not?" I'm like, "It's part of the history, part of the story of it." But this, but like you turn into Higgy's lot here, and again, like I said, I'm a kid in a candy store. When I get here, you pull in, and there's just you've got an LX 450 or 470. LX 470. You got a 55. You got a 40. You got an 80. You got a 4. I mean, cruisers everywhere, and you can kind of see mine way back there. His guys are currently trying to get the car in front of it out of the way so that I can come back and pull my cruiser out and take it home. But yeah, it's if you can. Or what's the longest distance that somebody has brought their vehicle to you?
So we actually had a truck that was from Tennessee. He was on the way. He was doing a cross-country road trip, and we ended up having to rebuild the motor in that truck. I think we put a used one in it.
Yeah, him and his wife were doing the Route 66, and on the way back, just outside of Phoenix, it started acting up.
We brought it in here, and we ended up doing a bunch of work to it.
Yeah.
But he didn't come from Tennessee, but that's probably the furthest. We have a truck being sent here, I think, from Illinois in a couple weeks.
Okay.
But we get a lot from California and got some from Utah, New Mexico.
Yeah. But if you can, bring your vehicles to Scotty. I can't say enough about how great it was to work with you guys.
I appreciate that.
Just, and this is awesome. It's got a sticker of his 55 on it, and so it's like, and I have stickers of my 40 that I did, and it's awesome. Well, again, Scotty, thanks for helping me out so much.
Yeah, of course.
I honestly don't think I could have got the motor done and everything else that needs to be done without you guys helping me out. So I completely appreciate it.
Yep, we're happy to do it. We're always happy to help fellow cruiser heads.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see this thing on the trails at SAS.
Yeah, that's the plan. Hopefully we'll get her done and she'll make it.
Yeah. Well, I realize that this isn't quite the hour-long episode that you guys are used to, but it's like 95 degrees out here.
Yeah.
It's getting hot. So, again, thanks for taking some time out of your day and your guys for helping me get my cruiser done.
Awesome. Thank you.
And we'll see you in a couple months.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, I just gotten back from picking up Uma from Higgy's. Again, can't thank them enough for the work that they did. And they also kept it in my budget. So they did great work. I know they kind of moved me to the front of the line. But there's still some things that need to be done. And yes, I'm super sweaty because it's like 104 in Tucson. It was going to be 107 in Mesa, where Higgy's is at. Just got it offloaded. I flat towed it back. I tried to avoid taking major freeways and interstates. So before I took it up there, it had a massive fuel leak, and it started to smell at my garage. I'm like, oh man, what is that? And I just thought that because it had been sitting so long, the fuel was just kind of seeping out of the fuel hose. So I clamped off the fuel line. Higgy said he got it running, and it was sounding really good. So that makes me feel even better about my choice to do this. But it had a massive fuel leak, and when I went to go pick it up today, I found out that the fuel line was so old that it just started to break, which is good because I have a new fuel line. Hopefully it's long enough. Let's see what else. Oh, my emergency brake has never worked. And he's like, yeah, we didn't put your emergency brake back together because it's missing stuff and it needs a lot of work. I'm like, okay, that's fine. It gives me something to do to repair it. Yeah, I'm sitting in my room or in my house instead of Uma because, like I said, it is hot out there. So it's just crazy hot, and I'd rather be inside where it's air conditioned right now. So I'm gonna fix the fuel line. I siphoned all the fuel out of the Land Cruiser. It had about half a tank, and I just put it directly into my Tundra to get gas to bring me home. And the guys at Higgy's shop are just absolutely amazing. Nicest guys. They helped me out. So fuel line, I've got a fuel line for that. Parking brake, I'm going to be working on the parking brake. And I was going to ask Higgy if I could use his tools or his guys to take off my rear drive shafts so I could flat tow it home. Well, they had both drive shafts in the Land Cruiser already, both taken out. They were inside the cab of the Land Cruiser, so it made flat towing it that much more comfortable. I didn't have to worry about dry spinning bearings or whatnot. Just the movement would lubricate the front and rear differentials. The other thing that they noticed is that it has a coolant leak or a radiator leak. And I know a lot of you are going to be like, Dan, what are you doing? Just use the brass radiator. Just get it fixed. I probably will get the brass radiator fixed. But for right now, I want to get it running and not have to worry about the radiator or about it leaking. So I have an aluminum 3-core radiator that will be going in soon. They did a full oil change on it. They did the coolant. They ran it for a little while, so they saw that it wasn't leaking anything. So we're good to go there. And speaking of the radiator, so sorry, I was trying to get my water bottle. Like Scotty said, he says that the oil had gotten too hot and it started losing lubricity. And I did not have a oil cooler on that last motor. And also, part of the reason why I decided to just have Higgy install this new motor, I got the new motor, ironically enough, from the guy who sold me the last 2F motor. And I bought this 2F motor off of him too. The last 2F, I went through and I tried to rebuild it and check leak down and all this other stuff. And you all know the story. I've shared it many times. But I spun the bearing because I didn't have the distributor down all the way. Put a different distributor in it. But I never got the timing and everything just right. And I thought it was running well. It was running well enough for me to drive into the ground, basically. But it was running, like I said, running well enough for me to drive into the ground. Having said that, it was like 6 inches of vacuum. And anybody who's ever worked on the 2F motor knows you need minimum 15 inches of vacuum. So because it didn't have enough vacuum and the combustion chambers were hot enough, the coolant temperature was right within spec, right where it needed to be. But the combustion chamber was too hot, causing the oil to basically burn and lose lubricity and smoke that bearing. It is what it is. But this new motor, it came out of a 60 series. I don't know exactly what type or which model 60 series, which year. It was a 60 or 62, whatever. I don't know. But this one, as I was underneath the truck draining all the fuel out, I saw that it has an oil cooler, which is great. Fantastic. I have an oil cooler now. It's going to help out a lot to keep it running the way it should. I flat towed it home with my Tundra. It didn't get above 2,500 RPMs, but it did feel the extra weight, and you could tell it in the fuel economy. But able to get it home. My son and his 2nd gen 4Runner pushed it into the garage so that we can work on it. I can do the parking brake. I can do the fuel, take out the passenger seat, hook up the fuel line, route the fuel line, whatever needs to be done. Drain the radiator, fix the radiator. But from the ladder rack, so the Tundra, when I bought it, had a ladder rack on it. And the Tundra has an 8-foot bed. Good grief, an 8-foot bed. Who needs an 8-foot bed? And so it has an 8-foot bed, but the ladder rack extended another 6 feet on top of that. So it was a 14-foot ladder rack. And I told my son, hey, if the ladder rack doesn't sell, you can build an off-road bumper for your 4Runner. And he took it and ran with it, and he is infinitely a much better welder than I am. I just kind of put bubble gum on it and say it's good and hope that it holds. But he built an off-road bumper for his 4Runner, and it looks great. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a tube bumper. He has it so that he can still drop down the tailgate. We haven't figured out how we're going to deal with the spare tire situation. He might just store it inside the 4Runner. I don't know. But we still have some of the metal left because it was a 14-foot ladder rack. We still have some of the metal left, and he is going to build me a brush guard to put on the front bumper. I think he's going to build it onto the front bumper to cover like my pod lights, my light bar, the front grill. So it's almost going to be kind of bezel police camouflage, so that the bezel police aren't going to notice if my bezel's ever upside down. It's never going to be upside down. Cool your jets, guys. So it's going to be like it's going to kind of come up to about the top of the bezel. When like today on the way home, I've been kind of thinking, is my son excited to go on the trip to Colorado? I wish the light was right there. There we go. And he's like, you know what? I'm looking forward to going to Colorado. So, again, thank you to Higgy's for knocking it out of the park. It's a little bit shorter of a podcast this week. I could have talked to Higgy for longer, but he's a busy guy. He's running a shop. He's got other things to do, and so I just took a little bit of his time to kind of talk to him a little bit. And in a couple weeks, I'm going to be doing, I think I've told this to the Heritage Museum, but I'm going to be doing kind of a takeover at the museum. Hopefully there's somebody there that can talk to me about this stuff. Hopefully we can get Kurt there. But if you're in the area on June 19th, come hit up the Cruiser Heritage Museum. I'll be there probably as soon as it opens up in the morning. We'll go. I'm going to do a little bit of a takeover at Land Cruiser Heritage Museum. And Slow Land Cruisers, he's already said that he'd be there, and they're trying to get a whole bunch of people to show up. If it happens, it happens. I don't know why you guys love seeing the videos of the podcast. I can't stand my own face. I'm sorry. I've got a double chin. I can't stand. You know what? Thank you to you guys for listening to me for 4 years, or going into 4 years now. 3 full years, and we're going into our 4th year. And we're going to, this summer is already getting pretty jam-packed of content for people to come on with the podcast. If there's ever anybody that you want to hear on the podcast, let me know. Tell them, hey, that's a great story to go on the podcast. That's what Steve Duncan did with Jonah. He said after he heard Jonah's story, he's like, oh man, this is an absolute fantastic story. It needs to be on the podcast. If you know anybody that has a great story for me to hear on the podcast, for everyone to hear, let me know. Let them know, hey, I don't mind reaching out and asking people to come on the podcast. So yeah, little side story. Last week we were on a little bit of a vacation to San Diego. I tried to find San Diego cruiser heads. It didn't happen. I tried to find. I found tons of 100, 200 series Land Cruisers and the 250 series. Didn't see any classics. I told my kids, hey, whoever sees the first classic Land Cruiser, talking an 80 series, 70 series, they wouldn't know what a 70 series looks like, I don't think. A 60 series, 55, 40, any of those. First one to see one would get a candy bar. Didn't see one. I didn't have to pay out. So that's kind of good in and of itself. But yeah, again, we were going to have a full hour-long podcast episode this week. But my guest that was scheduled to come on had some work conflicts, and my guest that I was scheduled to talk with next week, we had some technical difficulties, and it didn't work out. And so I kind of just, hey, Higgy, will you come on the podcast for a little bit, just to talk about it? And kudos to Higgy. He could have said, dude, you really messed up when you were putting this back together. But he didn't. He's like, well, there were some missing washers. He could have said, dude, you have become the stupid previous owner that everybody complains about. He didn't. So that just shows what kind of character Scotty is. He didn't want to insult me, but I could have taken it. So again, thank you to Higgy's. If you can, great shop to work with. They can get you taken care of. Sorry, I will try to stop moving around, but my ADHD is hyperactive today because I've got my beloved 40 back. She's in my garage, and she's out of intensive care, but she's still in rehab. That's the way I put it, and that's the way it's going to be. Again, short episode this week. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Talk to other cruiser heads. Let them hear the Classic Land Cruisers podcast. And we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Classic Land Cruisers podcast. As always, remember to go to reefmonkey.com to get your Classic Land Cruiser podcast merch. Bring your adventure home with inlowgear.com, your source for custom Land Cruiser apparel and merchandise, where adventure becomes art, designed for the road. Again, this episode was brought to you in part by Redline Land Cruisers, Save Your F, by Manafree, your one-stop shop for Land Cruiser parts and service, by Valley Hybrids and Terrain Tamer North America. As for me, the mountains are calling and I must go.